Hello, hello. We are unapologetically badasses. We're here again today. Thank you for tuning in this week. This one's a doozy. Okay, so, put your seatbelt on, grab that water, have that coffee. If you're on the road, be ready to laugh a lot. This is dating after 40. And you could say dating after 30 because really the baggage is kind of the same. If you're dating in your 50s and 60s, it's okay. Stay tuned. You're going to laugh at this one. It's probably very similar to Renee and I just have some really fun stories that we want to dive in and share with you guys, some insight, maybe even a couple of tips on how to navigate this crazy.
And the whole list of what not to do.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of lessons, right? There's a whole lot of lessons dating as a more mature adult when you go through like divorce or major breakup, especially with kids. Like that was really fucking funny. I mean, it's funny. If you don't have a good sense of humor, then dating after 40 is just not going to be your thing. You have to have a good sense of humor because it's fucking hysterical.
It is. There was a point where I was like, I'm bored. My kids are with their dad for this week. So I'm just going to go and get as many free meals as possible. And then I found out that not all guys in this era pay for meals. No. Like, well, I never do you again if you don't even offer.
And that's the funny thing is, obviously people all know, like you and I, we're like, we are independent women. We will do, but there's still like, you still want that, that man to take care of us in a way, or, make us
feel like act like it, Renee.
Act like it, or at least offer, like, let me say, no, I want to do half.
Yes.
Right. But like, not that, and I didn't date to like have the free meals. I did. For me, it was boredom. It was like when my kids would go, it was boredom. So I'm like, all right, I'll fucking play. Like, let's play.
Let's go.
That's more. Yeah. Let's fucking go. Let's see if this is really worth it. It was boredom. And, especially after knowing that my marriage was over for a long period of time.
Yeah.
We were just in it just to continue to be in it. So post-divorce, it was kind of like, all right, I want to actually like have some fun.
Yeah, but you wanted to have a partner because your marriage was over for so long after that.
Yeah.
That you mentally already knew that you had been alone for so long. So in that case, jumping in early, but if you were still like super, super in love and you're sitting here and you're like, I don't even know if I could date. It's okay. Take your time. There's no rush to this. There's no rule, right?
No. I do think I probably should have waited a little longer, but
I should have too.
Right in, it was probably like not really therapeutic to do it that way. I probably should have went to go see a psychologist first and work through my emotions in my life, before I went into that route. But you know what? That's what I did. I mean, it is what it is. You can't go back. But it was funny. So with me, I stay-at-home mom, and I didn't have a big network of like, who am I going to meet? Like you go to the grocery store, like, maybe you hear some crazy stories, but that wasn't happening. Like, right? There was no girlfriends going like, I'm going to fix you up. Everyone was married. So
and if you're a man and you're happening to listen to this, like seriously, go to Target. You will find a woman.
You will find women at Target for sure. Like they should actually do like coffee dates at Target.
For sure.
They should totally do that.
Up.
Yeah. But I went on the dating app and I felt gross. I felt dirty. Like, this is sneaky. Like, I don't want people to know. I'm like, right? Did you go on a dating app?
I did, but my story is funny. I'm out to dinner with 5 girlfriends for one of my good friends' birthday. And like almost all of us are single. Okay. Cause I immediately started finding friends that were single in the same like so I did at church, I did a divorce group, and then I started volunteering, and then I did a singles night, and I just started meeting these women. Like I didn't focus on men. I really focused on women so that I could get that support and love. And we were all out to dinner for her birthday. And one of them was like, "Oh my gosh, I just got on this dating app. Look at," she was showing me all these guys that were like liking her. And they're like, "Okay, we all need to get on this one and let's see if we all get the same guys." So for us, it became a big joke. And kid you not, some of us had some of the same guys, and they were saying the same exact things to all three of us.
Mhm.
This was a fun little exercise, I will tell you. So if you are not laughing right now, that shit was funny.
Yeah. The stuff that I was really appalled with the shit that men would DM.
Say, yeah, say how brave they are. And then you know it worked. Okay, so what's scary, Renee, is that they will say something like that,
Yeah.
and you know that it has worked on other women if
Right.
they continue saying it, even though
Right.
you're like block, delete,
Yeah.
report.
I'm like, disgusting. People are
Yeah,
fucking pigs. And now I've heard from guys that there are women that are real pigs
just
and
as, yeah,
butanas too. They're just as bad. And
yeah.
I'm shocked and mortified by that. I'm like, but the funny thing going through dating after 40, I found there was a lot of men that have all of these extracurricular activities, all of these hobbies. They do skydiving, they have a boat, they go
Oh,
golfing, they travel, they do. And they're like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm a fucking mom.
yeah.
If I had
I
a million,
forgot what I
I
do.
forget what I do, but we're busy moms, a lot of us, right? We don't have time for a hobby. We're raising children. That's our hobby. My
Yeah,
hobby is going to dance class and talking to other moms because my daughter's in dance. My hobby is
exactly.
going to the soccer tournament on the weekend and having a few laughs with the other parents. That's my hobby. So it annoyed me so much because, and then they're like, "Yeah, I've got 3 kids," and I'm like, "Oh, hell of a fucking dad, you know." You
Right.
show
That's
up
what you start,
and
yeah, you start prejudging so much when you do
so much.
online dating because it's like a speed date
Yeah.
on steroids.
And I didn't go on a lot of date. It took me a while to get to a date status.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
You
because
wanna gain
we
trust,
with
right?
that.
Did you wanna gain trust? Like, why did it take you a while to pick somebody to say, "Hey, let's meet"?
Oh yeah. First of all, I don't trust. I have a
Yeah.
real hard I still do. I'm better, but having the whole life, and we don't have to go into all the reasons why, but trust was a big thing. And
Yeah.
also, like, I had this sense of I don't fucking need you.
Exactly.
Like, if I wanna be with you, I'll be with you, but I don't need to be with you. I don't
Yeah.
need to go out. I don't need to I would like to. I would like to have interesting conversations. I would like to eventually find somebody I wanna spend my life with, but I'm good. I've got my kids, I've got my health, I'm secure,
Yeah.
I can take care of myself financially. I I'm good. I couldn't, I hated shoveling, don't get me wrong. Like, there's certain things
Yeah.
where, like, it would be nice to have a guy to do the stuff, but no, so I was very like, you had to check off the boxes, but I didn't
Mhm.
learn that at all initially.
What were
I
some of your boxes? Just curious.
so Well, once I was having a conversation, if we ended up coming on to, getting, in front of the phone and it was a match or whatever, right? If they
Yeah.
were interesting enough, then I would reply to their message.
Mhm.
And then I would have the message on the app. If
Mhm.
they're like, "Let's meet for a drink," I'm like, hold your horses."
Yeah.
Like, hold on. I wanna know
Yeah.
whether or not I'm gonna actually want to go meet you for a drink or cup of coffee or dinner. Like, I'm not going to dinner. That's like, to me, that was like, I'm not spending a couple of hours with some dude,
I needed
you
to
know?
escape just in
I
case.
Yeah. So I would have, those texting conversations and it took me a while to give them my phone number because I was like,
Yeah, that was a big no-no for me.
yeah, no.
Mhm.
So it took me a while. And then once that happened, I learned once the then it was like, okay, now this is interesting. This guy I find interesting. I'll go meet for a drink. That
Yeah.
was early on, drink a coffee. And then what I found out quickly is who they look like on the phone may not
They
be.
do not look like
They do
in
not
their
look like
pictures.
the pictures. So when I showed up at a restaurant, and the reason why I learned very quickly why this gentleman had a side profile was because the other eye went another way.
Oh no. Poor
So the
guy.
whole time I'm trying to not look at that crazy eye
Yeah, I get it. Oh.
as as an
Oh my gosh. My I don't know, Renee, you froze a little bit on
yeah,
my end.
I froze,
Okay,
but
okay, so
once I
we
had
can
that
laugh if
experience,
you
that's when I realized before my ass is going to get out of the house,
want. Mhm.
I need to make sure that you are who the hell you are. And I want pictures, I want FaceTime, I want real life before I even bother getting out of the house. But it took me,
I had a guy literally ask me, he's like, "Are you fat?" And I'm like, "I mean, I am thick."
I mean,
And
I'm a woman that
And he's
has,
like, "Okay, this is scaring me because my last 2 dates," and I was like, "I just don't I'm not going." I changed my mind, okay, but the whole conversation, I was like, "This motherfucker right here." Okay,
yeah.
he was like, "Are you fat?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I'm thick." I'm like, "If that's what you mean." I'm like, "But I'm not fat." I'm
Mhm.
like and I for some reason, I felt compelled to tell him my size. So I was like, "I'm a size this, I'm a size that," right? And I was just like, "So is does that not fit your criteria?" And he was like, "Well, the problem is that the last 2 dates, they only showed face pictures, and whenever I met them, they were extremely fat." And he goes, I'm looking for somebody who is active and not extremely fat and that can't
Mhm.
fit in certain places and do." And I'm like, I literally was jaw dropped. Like, are you for real right now?
No, but I can understand that because a lot of, that
Because
the
he
whole
wanted
catfishing thing, and
yes,
especially
he was like,
nowadays,
"I'm
right?
done."
Yeah, I mean, people will they will photo app themselves with the angle of like this, where you're only
Yeah,
seeing the tits and the face, and
yes.
then they don't get the rest of the
That's
picture.
exactly what he told me, but,
Yeah.
like, one of my criterias, Renee, is that, like, I didn't like, on my list that I created, we talked, last week about having, like putting it out there or having your dream board. So I created a dream board for my dream man,
Yeah.
and one of my criterias was not to be superficial, and to not be worried about that because you're going to get old and I
Yeah.
wanted them to love me into my oldness, right? So
Yeah.
like I had that conversation and then what I ended up doing was I put on a really tight dress, took a picture of myself and I'm like, this is what I really look like. Sorry if my other pictures. I said I understand what you mean. I know that people get catfish. I said this is
Yeah.
a real life picture. And he was like, "Oh yeah, you're perfect. Okay, okay, yeah, we'll go to dinner." And I was like, "You know what? I don't think this is going to work." I
Hmm.
said, I really wish you the best. And I didn't go. I was like, no, fuck
Right.
you.
Right.
No.
I love that you created a dream board for the guy that you want.
I did. And
Yeah.
I was, and you did too. We've talked about this.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do a book, but I had a list of there are things that I
Yeah.
absolutely positively like if you smoke, because I used to be a smoker years and years ago. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, smoking is not smoking
Yeah.
for me, smoking pot, no, I don't want to smell it. And I know a lot of people have their thoughts on that, and that's up to them. But for me, I had certain things and I wanted them to be a father. I
Yeah.
didn't want them to have so many hobbies that they're going to be so busy with their hobbies that they don't have time for me or their kids. Like,
Yeah.
and for me, family was very important. The
Yes.
kids are the number one priority.
I
So if
actually
somebody,
said on mine, I said, I want them to love their kids the way that I love mine.
yeah, yeah,
That was like my criteria, and I was very specific.
yeah, for sure. Because when the kids, when you're dating after a certain age, if you have children and
Yes.
your kids need you, your kids
Mhm.
need you. And that was the
Yep.
priority, not you, dude. I can
Yep.
still,
We actually, whenever my husband and I got together, we actually said we will never fight about work
hmm
or our children. That
hmm
was our number one rule to each other, is we will never fight about our work or our children, because our children were of the age that they didn't need another parent.
yeah,
Okay. Like they
exactly.
had two active parents and they
Yeah,
loved them. They just needed to know that that person loved me, so our kids felt safe,
right,
and that so they didn't need a disciplinarian. They
right.
didn't need him to discipline them. They didn't need to think that he was ever going to be like that father figure, but like, "Hey,
Mhm.
dude, I will always be your friend, and I will always
Yeah,
be here for you." And me with his kids, same thing. "I love you. I will always be your friend, and I'll always be here for you, and just know that I love your dad more than anything."
right,
So
exactly. It's having that bonus person.
mhm.
It's just having
Yes.
a bonus person in your corner. And
Exactly.
yeah, I was adamant. There is no way, shape, or form somebody's going to discipline my children. They have
Exactly.
a father, um,
Yes.
and that's
Him
the
and I will
bottom
figure
line.
that crap out. You
Yeah,
don't need to know any of
yeah,
that. Like,
yeah.
you can be involved with me, like, behind closed doors, we might be like, "Hey, we should take away his phone for this amount of time,"
Mhm.
but it would be me that would be telling my child that. He
Right,
would never be the one telling
right,
him that.
exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And I even, it's probably my independence. If somebody gives me their opinion on what I'm doing with my kids, no, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I got it. It's, my
Yeah.
kids, I'll do it my way.
Yeah, and when you have a partner, you kinda wanna hear what they think. You're like, "What do you think? Because 'Cause I'm
If
not
I
quite
ask,
sure, but ultimately, I'll make the decision."
yes, yes. It will,
So
and
that's like, and
that's
how do
the
you
great thing
know?
about having a partner that listens to you,
Yes.
because I
Yes.
didn't want somebody to insert their opinion when I didn't ask for it, because I'm not
Yes.
going to insert my opinion in what you're doing for your family unless you ask me.
Absolutely.
That
And
was the big one.
the there's a quote that says dating after 40 is, like, "Are we doing this or not?" Because you have to ask, like, those really tough conversations right away before you have date 3, 4, and 5. Right, Renee? So it's kinda like, "Hey, how are you? Do I have an attraction to you? Okay, yes, I do. Kind of
Yeah,
feeling a little tingly. Okay, now are you decent? All right, let's get into the heart of some of these tough conversations, because I need to know. If not, I ain't seeing your ass again. I don't care how attracted I am to you. Like, I don't care if I want to jump over this table and jump your bones now. That is not enough."
so what
It's
were
like,
those tough conversations that you had so early on?
it was things like that. Like, how do you feel about drugs? How do you
Oh, yeah,
parent
yeah,
your kids?
yeah.
What's your priorities for you? How do you feel about how do you co-parent with your ex right now? Is that good, or is that a good situation, a bad situation? I mean, I remember asking that a lot. To a lot of different guys. I was like, "Hey, so how do you and your," and then I had to tell them embarrassingly, like, I do not have a good co-parenting,
Yeah.
situation right now. So, not that you would be inserted in this, but it is a very, very difficult to communicate with him. And, I just want to be honest with you and share that, because they need to know, like, the baggage that I'm bringing.
Me too. Me too. Yep, that's 1000%. That's exactly where I was coming from, because it was a lot.
Yeah, it is a
It
lot.
was a
And
lot.
it's a lot to hear it when they tell you too, like, "Oh, I have 5 baby mamas." And I'm like, "Okay,
Red flag, red flag. And then so it was funny because I also had, any if I went to go meet someone, my best girlfriend knew exactly where I was going,
Mine
who I was
too.
with.
Yep,
I had been send me pictures of their licenses.
yep.
so
Yep.
that my friends knew who I was with.
Yep.
And the funny thing is then like my oldest daughter, she's more like the investigator. She
Okay.
was the protecting mama. And I forgot that she would have my location.
Oh, it's good. That's good. But she's like, "Where you at, mom?
But
Who are
when
you
you're
with?"
trying to be quiet of dating,
Yes, you
because
really do when you have kids, especially if they're like in that like 9 to 15
yes,
or even older.
she was over
It's like,
12, 13, 14. So
yes.
as she was going through, and she was like, where's, she would just go on the phone and see where I am. And it was like, ugh. Or if then when I realized that and I shut off my location, the barrage of text messages, like, where are you? Why is in your phone location on? And she's like the FBI. She is better than the FBI. If somebody wants to know something, they're going to contact my oldest daughter and she is going to investigate and find out. But it was like funny because I didn't want my kids to like know everybody that I was dating, but I did once in a few
Exactly.
dates, I did tell them because I wanted them to have an understanding that you can be like Cinderella. You may have to kiss a few frogs, but this
Yeah.
is real life. I don't want them to grow up thinking you're going to meet one person and have this one amazing relationship and that is it forever,
Yeah.
right? If it works out that way, then fantastic. I mean, I think that's wonderful. And my oldest is actually, I mean, even though she had a little boyfriend in junior high, she's actually marrying the person that she's known since elementary
Oh,
school and she
I love
dated in
it.
high school through college,
Oh,
everything. So it's amazing. But she saw,
yeah.
and I wanted my kids to see that when you fall down and you either have a broken heart or you break somebody's heart,
Yeah.
there's more fish in the sea.
Yeah. And okay, so funny story. My now husband was one of the first people that I brought home, but didn't introduce my kids. This was on a week when I didn't have my kids, but we, came home and he would stay the night. But I had a rule. I told him I am not, and not all women will do this, but he stuck with me. I was like, I'm not sleeping with you for at least 3 months until I know for sure. But I had written him a card about like, I look forward to our next night. And we would just have like such an incredible, amazing time together. But he was the first person that I brought into my physical home. Like he had my address, he knew. Okay. Because I knew like I was not giving my phone number or my address out to anybody unless like you're golden, right? Well, I had written a note to him, and my ex broke into my place and found the note and read it and assumed that I was like sleeping with this person, like sleeping with him, and went and told my children. So my children of the age that they were like, no, we want to know who he is. And I was like, I didn't want you guys to know that I was seeing him until I knew that he was one. Well, I had been seeing him for about 2 months. And then when my son was like, no, mom, I want to meet him. But I wasn't sure that he was the one. Like
Yeah.
I felt a deep, deep connection, but I wanted to make 100% for sure because my ex introduced his wife to the kids. I mean, just like a few weeks after we physically divorced. And
Yeah.
it just felt like it was too much for them to handle. So I didn't want to put that on them.
Yeah.
But they did. They ended up meeting him. It's all turned out good. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
what ends well, however you say that.
Yeah.
But that's not something that you want. You really are protective of your kids. You really hold that tight because the last thing they need to see is their mom having another freaking heartache.
Yes. Well, and I did introduce my kids too early to some people, but that was through the dating process. I wasn't in the like, I want to find my forever or
Yeah.
I want to find, a husband or anything like that. But I had them more like that on the journey of dating. And it wasn't like there was a new guy every week, every month like that.
Yeah, but you
But
wanted to do things together, so you knew that you had to
I didn't
prove
wanna
something
hide
to
it
them.
and go like, I knew I wasn't ready for like a super long relationship. It was more like like that bonus person, somebody
Yeah.
to have fun with, go out with sometimes, do some fun things with. But it was when I look back, I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking?
I know. So let's like each share one thing not to do. Um, I mean, I guess you kind of said it, like get the details before you meet them in person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Save your time, save your
Yeah.
energy, save shaving your legs.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's exhausting. Have fun with it, I guess, would be like, I mean, if I was gonna tell you what to do, is be patient.
Be
Think of it as like free meals, free coffee, or just conversation with people when your kids aren't around if you have them, or if you're just,
Yeah.
not necessarily lonely, but in a place where you love yourself enough and you're like, you know what? I'm willing to explore this. Be patient.
And have, have that the sense of enjoy it for fun,
Yeah.
build your self-esteem,
Yes.
and don't rush into it. Like, take your
Yeah.
time with
Yeah.
the whole thing. It's okay to go like, "No, I'm not going out on Saturday because I'm gonna self-care and I'm going shopping," and,
Yeah.
versus, "Hey, you wanna go out for dinner?" And you're like, well, I'm gonna change what I was gonna
Don't jump through
do."
hoops. Yeah, don't jump through hoops when you're dating.
No,
Not
no.
for anybody.
No, exactly, and that's for any age. I mean, that's for anything.
Yes. Yes. Do not stop your stuff. Be willing to say, "No, not tonight." You know that,
Yeah,
there's and be yourself. Oh my God, be yourself. If you are a goofy person, if you say things and he's not jiving with you, just say next. Like,
next.
literally say next.
Yes, yes, because there are so many people out there, and it is timing, right? You're gonna find the one when you're meant to find them, and, like, I
Mhm.
knew with Tony, I knew immediately, and when I made him do so when I met Tony, that was during the pandemic,
Uh-huh.
and, I met him through that Bumble app. So I had
Aw.
tried another app, and I went on Bumble, and the Bumble, for people that don't know, the women are the ones that
Control.
initiate the conversation.
Yeah.
So it was very empowering for me because I hated the other apps where these idiots would just come into your DMs, and it's just, ugh,
Yeah.
they were gross. Um,
Yeah.
and then you start seeing the same people. It's like, just anyway. So when we had those conversations, and then, he offered to, let's meet for, coffee or drinks or whatever, I forget which one it was, or dinner. I made him Zoom. He doesn't have a he doesn't have an iPhone like me, so he couldn't FaceTime. So I made him, he's like, "What?" I'm like, "We're gonna Zoom date." And that's what I did. I Zoom dated him. I made sure that he was who he said he was. And then, like, that was it. And then once those boxes were checked.
It's like going on 1,000 interviews
Yeah,
because I love that you Zoom dated because that is like, I need the pre-interview before we fly you here to
yeah,
confirm that we're gonna go on a date with
yeah,
you. And
yeah.
it's so true.
Because I wasn't
Like,
gonna waste my time,
yeah,
gonna leave the house, like, no. And especially during that time where there was so much uncertainty and stuff like that, didn't know what was really going on. But and then once I saw him, that was like I was done.
aw. I was more like, really, like, don't waste my time, and
Yeah,
if they just kept delaying wanting to meet, and
yeah,
we had had some really good, meaningful conversations, and they did not want to meet me, I'm like, either you are or you are not.
right.
I am not I am here just to find somebody to have fun with, and if you don't even wanna meet me, that's telling me something's off.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
I had like these spidey senses, and if
Yeah,
they gave me even like an inkling of any kind of weirdness, like you guys, like if a red flag goes off, any kind of red flag goes off, please listen to it.
listen.
Don't
Yeah,
continue it because you are bored or
right.
you are lonely. Being lonely is like allowing the devil to control your thoughts. Okay.
Yep.
Like you have to be so good with being alone if you are going to go date.
Absolutely.
You
Yep.
just need to be okay with it. You need to be independent, and being independent is highly attractive.
Yes.
Men usually want independent women. They do not want to they don't want to date you thinking, "Oh, this woman just wants me to take care of her." My
Mhm.
husband literally went on a date with somebody. We share all of our funny dates. Went on a date with somebody, and she was like, "I just want somebody to take care of me. How much do you make a year?" And he was like, "This woman is asking me how much I make." What?
Wow.
Like, I mean, that makes
Yeah,
us
but there
women
are
look
men that want that, though. There are men that want to just be a
they
sugar
may,
daddy and have you.
but you will never have a meaningful like
No,
relationship if you go and be a sugar
no,
mama or you allow a
no.
sugar daddy to take care of
Mhm,
you,
mhm,
right?
mhm. But you're
I got
absolutely right
lots of
about
sugar daddy requests. I still get them all the time. Every now and then I tell my husband, "Hey baby, I got $10,000 offer."
I know.
He's like, "Let me talk to him. Let me talk to him."
Right.
I guess the
I get
other thing
those.
would be open. Be
Yeah.
very, very open of what you want and what you're looking for. If you don't know what that is, it might confuse the situation, because if you are open and you say something that you really are looking for or you want or something that's important to you, like I cannot date on the weeks that I have my kids.
Mhm.
And I will not be able to do that until I'm comfortable that you meet them. And if they have a problem with that, bye. See ya. Bye, Felicia.
Yep, absolutely. But the red flags thing, women's intuition is really powerful in
It's
all
amazing.
aspects of our lives. If you
Mhm.
have that little like, this don't feel right, it ain't right.
Yeah. Yep, it
So
ain't.
cut it off early. That would be the advice. Don't drag it on. I am
Yep.
I am probably too loyal. I don't know if that's the right word, to a fault. I give
Mhm.
people lots of, and it's funny because I am that like thick-headed, stubborn Italian, F you type person.
Mhm.
Um, but I do give people the benefit of the doubt too much.
Mm. Mm.
And and I don't know if it was because I wanted it to work in my head, or didn't want to go through it again,
Mm.
or
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
going like, maybe this is how it's supposed to be because I
Yeah.
didn't have a good relationships in the past, so then you start going inward going, maybe this is how it's supposed to be. And,
Mm.
but
Oh, I see what you did. Yeah,
right,
that's
but so
that's
staying
scary.
with somebody longer than what you
You're
probably
supposed
should,
to.
you
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
I would definitely suggest listen to those spidey senses, listen
I went
to.
like I went the relationship that I was in before was very submissive. I almost could have wore a veil all the time. Always just like, yes, whatever you want, sir. Yes, whatever you need. Okay, yes, if that's how you want it, yes. So when I went to dating and I started feeling comfortable with it, it was like a switch. I was like, oh, hell no. Oh, no. I went on a date with a guy and he was very good looking. Okay. But and he texted me and messaged me. By the way, I did end up ghosting my husband for about 2 weeks. I just ghosted him. I just was like feeling like, okay, maybe I'm not going to date anymore. And
Yeah,
I didn't answer him. And he texted me like 3 times or 4 times. And he told himself, I'm going to text this woman one more time. And if she doesn't reply, I'm going to leave her alone. And he texted me and I was like, he is so damn sweet. So I replied, I said, I'm so glad that you messaged me. I've just been going through a lot. I'd love to see you again. But with this other guy, he was highly attractive. We both had a very, very deep attraction. We went out to eat, we shared a plate, everything was good. He offered to pay, even though I said, do you want to split it? He was like, no, no way. Really, really nice gentleman. But he was younger. For some reason in the dating pool, it seemed like he's like, my husband is younger than me, by the way. But they just kept popping up. And I'm like, oh, well, he didn't have any children. And I asked him, do you want to have kids? And he's like, at this point in my life, I do not know. And I went home and I thought about it and I was like, I don't want to waste my time.
right.
And I went back and yes, could we have like played a little bit together? Could we have maybe have had fun? Could we have had like maybe great sex? I don't know.
Right.
But I just was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to my kids. I don't want to get emotionally involved. I don't. And I really was like being very, very stern.
Mhm.
I am not having sex with anybody
Mhm.
for this amount of time. It was a promise and a commitment that I made to myself.
Yeah.
So I just told him no. I was like, and he was like, wait, what? Like, we had such a good time. I don't understand it. But I didn't ghost him in that way. But then, like, he was like, you can't just throw this away. When he started telling me what I can and can't do,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
was like, oh my God, my gut was right.
Yep. Yep, for sure,
It
for
was
sure.
another man that was just going to tell me what I can and can't do. And that's exactly what I escaped from.
Yeah, yeah, for
Oh,
sure. And I knew that I didn't wanna date anybody that didn't have children because,
right?
they're
Yeah.
there's honestly, most of them when you get to a certain age, if they
Mhm.
don't have children, most of them, not all of them, I'm not bashing
Not
all
all
men,
of them.
but,
Yeah.
they have so many things that they are, focused on themselves that
Yep.
it's they don't
Yeah.
understand, and even if they have nieces and nephews and they love on them and they do whatever,
Yeah.
unless you have children, it it's game
They
changer.
can't they
Y
might not be able to fully relate to what you go through or how you feel when you stop everything and your adult child calls you and says, "I need to go to the hospital."
yeah,
You're like even though they're adults and you're like, "Hey, I'm headed to the hospital," or, "Hey, I have to have surgery." You stop for
yeah,
literally 1 second. You're like, "What for? What's going on?" Or when your child has a big promotion and you wanna celebrate it, only another parent can understand that.
or it's the calling me because she has a drive home and she doesn't wanna be alone,
Oh,
or
yeah,
she's, in school and she's walking to class or she's walking somewhere and doesn't wanna be alone. A lot of
yeah.
guys can't understand that,
You're right.
but
They'll be like, "All you do is talk to your kid. All you do"
right.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
"Yeah, I do, because you know what? She needs me, and that's
Yeah,
what I'm gonna do. I'm her mom first?" And a lot of
yeah,
guys don't understand how we as women have to look over our shoulders all the freaking time. We
yeah,
can't walk down the street by ourselves without having that,
yeah.
forget about parking garages, anything, but that can
No,
look like
seriously.
yeah, so, we're there for our kids, and, so I needed to have somebody that understood that and that they were the same way, so when their kids
Mhm.
called that
Yep.
they needed to have a conversation, then go have at it. Drop what you're doing.
It's definitely I mean, dating in your, 30s, 40s, 50s, it's just have fun with it, and I know we already said that, but it's
Yeah,
possible to find somebody, but you're gonna have to maybe go through a lot of diamonds. Play a little game with yourself to keep yourself like keep your mind fresh if that one date doesn't end up being date number three and be in control like allow yourself to say you know what I'm going to be the one that's like
yeah,
no
yeah,
and that feels so good and then to have it reconfirmed like your gut feeling was right is
yeah,
even better.
yep,
I
yep.
mean that's
D
blissful.
so, do you believe that there's, like, the one?
Yes, I do.
1000%, the one.
Derek is my one. We sat at the restaurant and talked for 3 hours with
Yeah,
2 different waitresses,
yeah,
and I could not stop thinking about him
yeah,
after the whole time. Like, he just was in my mind, even though I ghosted him, but I was going through so much with my ex still, even though my ex had his wife, it was it was just he just was on my mind. So when I would
yeah,
see his text message, I noticed myself smiling like uncontrollably, but I just could not respond to it. I just was like in this back and forth place of, should I, shouldn't I? And he felt a little too safe, which scared me. I don't know if you've had that feeling.
yep,
When they're too safe, it seems too real. It seems too good to be true.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
funny.
when you know, right?
You know. Like I said, I mean, I when Tony and I when I was walking And it wasn't the physical, it was here. Like there
Yeah.
was some
Yes.
pull that when we were walking into, from our cars so that we can go in the restaurant, there was this immediate, like, I just completely knew. The funny thing about our first date, first real in-person date, my daughters were at my best friend's. I think that they were at my best friend's house. And the fucking location of my phone was on.
I love it.
So they're drilling my girlfriend, who knows I'm on a date.
Yes.
She
'Cause
knows
she's
what
your
restaurant I'm
safety.
at. She's my safe. She knows where I am and who I'm with. And they were like, "Why is she still there?" They looked up the restaurant to
Oh my
see what
god.
time the restaurant closed and was wondering why I'm not home.
That's so cute.
It's very cute, but my girlfriend and I laughed, and, she was, of course, like, blowing it off and stuff like that. But Tony and like, the restaurant closed. We were just in the car talking and talking. It's like we just didn't want that time to
Yeah.
end.
Same thing with Derek and I. It's like
Yeah.
he actually walked me to my car and then he got in the car with me. And had I not had to get home to my kids,
Yeah.
we just would have continued to keep talking. And he was not physical at all.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
asked me, he goes, if I had kissed you,
Mhm.
would we have had a second date? And I said, more dates, and he said, and I said, no, I probably wouldn't have, because that was something that I was not looking for. But he felt me, he
Yeah.
sensed me, he was aware of my body language. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I just felt so daggone safe with him. It
Yeah.
was just weird.
Aw.
And I remember even when I was ignoring him during those 3 weeks, I went to lunch with a girlfriend and I showed her a picture of him and she goes, "Ooh, George Clooney, huh?" And I was like, "I just can't get him off my mind. I just don't
Yeah.
know if it's right." She's like, "Just take your time, and if it's meant to be,
Right.
it'll be."
It'll be. Yeah. No, well, we totally made out for sure in the car.
Yeah.
But that's as far as it went. But we definitely did. So, yep. But
Hey, everybody's different. Everybody's
everybody's
different.
different. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's just a matter of knowing and knowing that it's okay if things don't work out as
Yes.
you're dating and going through the
Yes.
dating process. It's okay. Just like, marriage, it didn't work out for us and it turned out okay for us, right? You don't necessarily go into dating or into a relationship thinking that it's going to end. But if it does, then know that it's okay. Whether you
Yeah.
are in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s, you can
Yeah.
still have fun with this. And, as we get into the older thing, I don't know if you ever watched or got into the Golden Bachelor and Golden
Oh, I watched the whole damn thing. I love it, and I
Bachelor.
knew it was chalk from the beginning.
I know. So, but the thing is, years ago, and I have this tweet somewhere. Do you remember the first guy who on the Bachelor series, the first host, the one that got kicked out? I forget his name. Anyway,
Yeah.
I this was back, social media wasn't like huge, huge. I mean, it was big, but
Yeah.
I tweeted during the dating process that we needed a show because I was watching Bachelor or Bachelorette, that we
Yeah.
needed a show for bitter old divorced women to date, and in a
So
later
cute.
years, right? He retweeted it.
Aw.
So that
No way.
host. And now years later, so I'm going to take credit for introducing the Golden Bachelor and Bachelorette
Yes.
series because
I'm giving you full credit. Thank you,
I think
Renee,
so. Yep,
so
I
much.
think so. Just like the person who invented, the Post-it notes, and somebody probably did that before them. But there are
Thank you.
lots of things in my life that I thought of and then came to fruition by somebody else. So, to the world, I put things out there. But I really thought that like that would be great. And then when Golden Bachelor came on, freaking obsessed with this.
Me too. Me too. I mean, and it was so good because their baggage.
Yeah.
And yes, they are in their like 60s, but the baggage and their families, and they have grandkids. And she was like, I didn't want to sleep with anybody. I didn't want to
Yep.
kiss a lot of people. And the little grandkids, like, did you kiss my grandpa?
Right.
Like, those are like, that's real shit in
That's
our
real.
age.
Yep, for
And
sure.
so I loved it. And she was so graceful.
Yeah.
And I loved how each man she truly treated with respect. So, the other advice that I would give is definitely hope that the people that you do date gives you the respect that just says, you're just not somebody that I'm seeing myself with.
Right.
And for you to be that person.
Yeah.
Not like get on the radio station and you have War of Roses. We have War of Roses here, Renee. It's every morning and it's about date, or not War of Roses. It's um dating update. I can't remember what it's called, but anyways, it's where people call in and say, "So I went on this amazing date, and then it's so incredible, and she's like the love of my life, I think, and she's this and she's that, or he's that, he's this," but they ghosted me. So they call the other person and they say, "Okay, so can you tell us about this date?" And I kid you not, the reasons why people ghost people. Woo! Now a second date update. That's what it's called. So they tried to get them a second date. Okay. So
Funny.
sometimes the show, like there is just a misunderstanding and they do end up giving them a second date and it turns out okay. But just the reasons, like people are so not self-aware. But I would just say be you. And if they
Yeah.
ghost you, oh well, fuck
Oh,
them.
well, that means you're not meant to be with that person, and it's okay. I love the series so much. I love the fact that the guys, became besties. They became so close.
Yes.
They had
Yes.
their fun and their laughs. And the same thing when it was the women that were all together and seeing those
Yes.
relationships form. That's the thing that I love about our age. And whether it's
Yes.
dating or it's real life, right? When you think about dating, you can also date your friends in a way. Like you can
Yes.
talk about,
Yes.
right? Because you found women that were going through the similar situation, right?
Yeah.
So no matter what age you are and you're looking to date someone as far as a true relation, romantic relationship, date people of your same sex. Like go meet people that are in the same scenario,
Yes.
same kind of life point that you are, because it makes it a whole lot more fun
It
that
does.
right. And so as women, obviously I'll speak to just us, having a support system around us that we can all laugh and go through life with, it
Yeah.
becomes much more comfortable for us to give ourselves to another person, right? A significant,
Mhm.
potential significant other, because we have the strength and the empowerment and
Yes.
the self-awareness and the, what do I want to call it? The
Confidence.
confidence. Thank you. The confidence that, we can then know we have our people. This is just gravy. If we find
Yes.
the gravy,
Yeah.
then holy moly, we really hit the jackpot. But
Yeah.
because we have the rest of it in place, we're good. So yeah, consider
Yeah.
dating like anybody, but finding your people, and that'll allow you to find your person.
And again, I just really, really encourage, like, if you are going to date super fast after your divorce or your breakup, that's fine, but just be okay being alone.
Yeah.
Don't start your dating adventure because you're lonely.
Yeah.
Go find girlfriends
Hmm.
and feel that void and go to therapy if you
Yep.
can, or if you're into that, or go to God or whatever it is that
Yeah.
you find inner peace to love yourself fully, because having girlfriends, like you said, Renee, is so much better in that era than trying to fulfill that loneliness
Yeah.
with a person that you do not know if they're going to be there next week.
Right. I took an
So,
adult dance class, so I was having fun doing
me
that. I
too.
I was so looking forward to like the weekend. I finally got to the point, like I missed my kids. Of course, that was the hardest transition, was when the kids
Oh,
weren't
so
with me,
hard when
right?
your kids are with your other person. That
Oh,
is.
that's knives in our hearts. But we have to
Mhm.
learn to get used to it.
Yeah.
And, it finally got to a point
It's our
where
new norm.
it's our new
Yeah.
norm. So then, there were times where it was just so nice knowing that I can make myself a little charcuterie. I knew I was
Yes.
going to have a charcuterie, a glass of wine, and watch
Yes.
some chick flicks or watch some shows
Yes.
that I could catch up on the stuff. And it was so nice. And I'll never forget, there was one night that my damn dog, I'll never forget this, my kids know the story. I was so excited to have that night. And I made a charcuterie. I had it on the counter. My golden doodle, my dumbass Coco, love and miss her. You know, she's so cute. But my
Oh.
cute dog counter surfed. I came downstairs and that son of a bitch not only ate my charcuterie, but ate my red pepper hummus that was covered with
Oh,
vegetables.
shit.
And then I was stuck with the sick dog because she ate the container of red pepper hummus. So look about dating myself. Just, I was like, I got the
Yes,
dogs.
I love that you said that dating yourself is
I did.
so
That's
fun.
the other thing, dating yourself, right? Like whether I was
Do
home
things alone. Yeah,
or
do things alone.
I forced myself to go out to a restaurant by myself.
Yes,
I went shopping by myself, like
yes,
clothes shop, shopping by myself. I went
yeah,
to restaurants by myself. I
yes.
sat
I went
at
to the
bars,
movies. I went to the
movies,
freaking movies by
movies by
myself when
myself.
movies were a big thing. Yes.
Yes, all of that. I went through that process that I became okay with, when you're at a restaurant, especially, I was like, okay, I got the phone, or sometimes I have my iPad, do a little work. But I
Yeah.
even went to sitting at a bar at a
Absolutely.
restaurant, not a
I
bar
used to,
bar,
and
not
you know,
like
the
a dive
funny
bar.
thing is that I chose bars instead of sitting like in a booth by myself.
Me
If
too.
I went in by myself, I always went straight to the bar. Like, can I just go to the bar? Because I just felt comfortable because there were other single people sitting there, or maybe they
Absolutely.
weren't single, they were on a work trip, but they
Yes.
were individuals. So, and I just ate and I was on my phone or I
Yep.
watched the games.
Right.
And sometimes I would go sit at a bar for, I don't know, like hours. And
Yeah.
it's funny, I ended up going to like this one bar all the time, and I
Yep.
met this, I call him a kid because again, I just had all these young kids for whatever reason. But I met this kid, but him and I became really good friends.
I love
And
that.
and then we started sitting with each other because he
Yep.
would go like after work at a certain time and
Yep.
we'd go. And through our little friendship, he met somebody and I was giving him advice.
Oh,
And
how
even though
nice.
he told me that he was, like, attracted to me, I was like, I was like, "You're,
Yep.
like, probably the same age as one of my kids. No
Nope.
way."
Uh-huh.
But, it's like,
Yeah.
it was fun. It was
It
fun.
was fun, and that's the thing, I had a good time with that. I met some really interesting people. I
Yeah.
didn't do that to go meet somebody.
I
I
didn't
did
either.
that so that I can show and prove to myself that I
Yes.
am strong and confident, and I don't need to have somebody there with me in order
Yes.
to enjoy a nice glass of wine and a good meal, that I didn't wanna
Absolutely.
be home, right? Like the whole thing when you end a relationship, oftentimes you end the relationships with the friends because they were
Mhm.
couple friends. So,
Yeah.
that puts you in this place of really feeling alone. So it takes a
Yep.
lot of courage to go out there and do the things and live your life
Yeah.
independently. I can't say by yourself, independently, because you're gonna run into people and have
Yeah,
amazing
you're not gonna ever yeah,
stories.
you're not alone. If you
You're not.
think you're alone, you're not. There are support groups, there's fun things, there's
Yep.
places you can volunteer.
Yeah.
You won't be alone if you don't have a big support of women or people around you. There are ways to meet
Yeah.
people when you get older. It is a little awkward. It's not like high school, like, "Hey,
Mhm.
girl, you wanna be my friend?"
Yeah.
It's like high school with now you have stretch marks, now you have baggage,
Yep.
but there are places you can go to meet friends. And then once you
Absolutely.
meet friends and then people that are like you, it makes
Yep.
being independent so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. My biggest advice would be just go do something for yourself, with
Absolutely.
date
Yes.
yourself. Do
Yeah.
something that will get you, that first step forward. And then once you take that first step, then you're gonna take another. It's just like how we teach our
Yep.
kids, right? But,
Yeah, I
it's
started
progress.
painting. I started painting. I started
Yeah.
drinking a lot of wine. I would go to places by myself. And then I made it a date with myself that I would go and get a massage once a month. It was something that I loved to do for me. Getting my nails done was something that I did for me. And I would like I would not get a pedicure and a manicure at the same exact day, you guys. Like, in order to feel my days, okay, my manicurist became one of my best friends. Mindy, I love you, because I would come one day to get eyebrows done, the next day to get my toes done, and the next day to get my
Oh,
nails done. And I would sit there a lot of times and just cry.
oh,
They love me anymore, but I would do these to feel that void of getting used to being alone
yeah.
and when my kids were with their dad.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely had a good time. I treated myself like I'm gold because we are.
Yeah.
I would buy
Yeah.
myself flowers too. I am in the market. I'll buy
I
myself
still do that.
flowers. Yeah, I every once in a while I still do. I love flowers, so I don't mind. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't need somebody to buy me flowers for a reason. It's, I like flowers. If I want them in the house, I'm going to get them in the house.
Yep.
But yeah, doing those little micro experiences for yourself is really important, and date
It
yourself,
is. Yeah.
and just go into it knowing that you're going to have a lot of fucking laughs. And hopefully you have some girlfriends you can share those stories with. I had one
Yes.
girlfriend, she's like, Renee, you need to write a damn book. I'm like, no shit. I mean, the fucking,
Just some of the dates that you show up to. Oh my God. I was on Christian Mingle for a little because I really thought like Christian Mingle was like my thing. These were some of the worst. I mean, some of the worst. And I'm like, what? This was supposed to be the good one. But
yeah.
no, it was some of the worst. I mean, yeah. I just sit here and I just shake my head. I'm like, no, no, no.
It go go through dating as if you are a little kid at the beach, and you know that little sifter that you get with the
Yeah.
sand, right? And you
Oh,
just sit there
perfect.
and you're going to sift it, and all of the sand is going to come out, the
Yep.
pebbles will stay, you may go on some dates, but it's those big rock, you're going to find your rock that you're going to be like, this is the person that,
Yes.
I feel most authentically myself with, and who, you know, I can't say completes me, you complete yourself, but who
Yeah.
is the person that,
Matches.
feels good to be with. And
They go into your groove.
yep, yep,
And you can be goofy and silly and weird, and they love your weirdness. Whenever you find somebody who loves every single quirk
yeah.
about you, that's when your soul, your heart, your mind is like, I can keep doing this.
Yes, so that makes me think you and I on TikTok, although you are much funnier. But when we see our TikToks, right? So I hate my voice, and I know we talked about this in another episode, but the
Yeah.
fact that, we may not like our voice, but to have somebody that like, oh, like we'll be on the, and he's like, huh, it's you. And I'm like, oh, and I'm thinking he's gonna make fun of me because that's what I was used to, even though I don't want to bring the old past into the new. But
Exactly.
that like, oh God, I can't believe he sees it. And he's like, oh my God, you need to do more of these. These are really funny.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, right. And then you go, oh, he gets me for being my
He
silly,
gets
and that just feels good. It's those little things that
Mhm.
if they get you and they love you for your
Yeah.
weirdness. And although I do my TikToks that I'm like the only one watching and I crack myself up, but
It starts out that way, but it gets better, okay? Because
it's
now I'm cracking up at yours, so it's
yeah,
good.
it's, we'll get there. It is what it is. But go find your people, everyone. Have fun with dating and know that, go,
Laugh, expect to laugh,
yeah.
chuckle, and, have those moments of "What the fuck?" along the way, and you will
Right.
be fine.
And please, if you've gone through dating and you have funny stories, please share them in the comments.
Yeah, we wanna
Message us
hear.
on Insta. We would love to hear. That would be a really fun, what would be really fun is if we get a lot of those, we can do an episode of just other people's experiences
Oh
and
my
read those
oh.
experiences out loud, right?
Oh, we
So,
would love if you guys wouldn't mind. We could just do first
right?
names and say, like,
Yes.
"Kristen from Memphis said and
Yes.
shared this." We would love love to
Yes.
do that.
So please do that. Send Sierra or I messages on Instagram or comment on wherever you see or hear this podcast. We would really appreciate it. And we will shout you out for sure. So thank you all for listening. Hope you had a few laughs with us. And please, like, subscribe, share, comment, do all those fun things. We would truly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Have an amazing day. Have fun dating.
Enjoy. All right, Queens, that's a wrap for today's episode. But before you hit pause, let's talk about you and how we can help you slay every part of your life. If you're ready to feel fabulous and look like $1,000,000, I've got you covered with my badass queen coaching, sparkling touchstone crystal jewelry, and Bella Grace collagen, because glowing skin and a sparkly vibe, that's a power move. Check it all out at reneecarbonefleming.com. And my co-host Sierra, oh yeah, she's bringing the heat too. Not only is she rocking Bella Grace collagen for her glow game, but she's also the queen of chic with her fabulous clothing boutique. From boosting your wellness to leveling up your wardrobe, Sierra's got the magic to help you shine inside and out. Check her out at linktree/Sierra Whitener 7. So here's the deal. Head to our websites, grab the goods that'll help you live your best life, and let's make everything about you unapologetically badass. And hey, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with your fellow queens, because the more sparkle in the world, the better. Until next time, keep glowing, keep slaying, and remember, you're a badass queen who deserves it all.